Everyone, welcome. Dr. Toni Coaches. So glad you're here today. Nice to connect with you, even if it's virtually. I hope you're all doing well. I want to continue our ROI series for wellness, our return on investment when you choose to invest in your wellness, your self-development, your personal development, your professional development, all of it, right? Not distinguishing between all of them as separate things, but when you are investing in yourself, in your wellness as a whole, you are investing in your personal and your professional development. You are enhancing your bottom line at work and at home. Okay. And so I want to continue this series today talking specifically about how this kind of investment in yourself gives you a wellness return on investment. By investing in your wellness, you can experience this physical shift, this mental shift, this even in your own medical realm of your life, your medical health, you may even experience a shift. I've seen it time and time again. And so today, actually, what I want to do is share a bit about my own story with you because I think it's important to hear and to know that I'm not just talking to you based on experiences that I've had with other folks and supporting them, or based on just the research, or based on just my professional knowledge and experience there, but also based on my personal experience. But before I do that, just tell me if any of this rings a bell for you. Maybe some of it will, maybe some of it won't, maybe all of it will. Just see if any variation of this is something you can relate to. I'm always tired. By the end of the day, I have no energy left to do anything. I'm feeling more and more easily irritated. My head is always killing me. I have constant migraines. I feel so out of shape. I'm fatigued all the time. I feel like I'm on edge. I can't seem to think straight. I keep having these weird medical issues, and I keep thinking it's got to be a medical issue, but like it's something's got to give. It's not, nothing's changing. They can't find anything wrong with me. I'm numb. I'm overwhelmed. I can't sleep well. I want to sleep too much. My body's always so tense. My neck, my back, it's killing me. Can you relate to any variation of any of those? People tend to understand that there are benefits physically when you tend to your physical health. People tend to understand that, right? It seems very tangible, easily kind of calculated. It either hurts or it doesn't. You feel it or you don't, right? But when it comes to mental and emotional health, that tune kind of starts to change. Because it's also, let me grab my words. It's often seeming like, okay, I can understand why I need to maybe work on my diet or work on my physical fitness. I can understand that. Some people have an easier time understanding that. But when it comes to actually understanding that their mental and emotional health matters and they need to invest in their mental and emotional health, there's this disconnect. It's seen as a luxury almost, or a waste of time to even have time or money to invest in something that's not easily measured by the naked eye, like mental and emotional health, or that's just not super tangibly observed in some way by others in particular if you invest in it, right? Because mental and emotional health, when you invest in it, it's not as easily calculable, easily measured, especially by others that look at you, as other things like weight or diet changes or things like that, right? Often it's not as easily measured. Now, by the end of this, I think you're going to be able to see that there are ways that we can measure it, ways that you can measure it for yourself, and even that you can notice it in other people's. But Americans in general, we tend to like really clear, evidence-based, quantifiable outcomes, and mental and emotional health tends to not fall in that realm for so many folks, especially when we talk about it in mainstream. And so all too often, the mental and the emotional wellness just isn't considered as something that we invest in and gain a benefit from. And that's just not true. It's just not true. What if I told you that your physical and your medical health is significantly impacted by your mental and emotional wellness, or lack thereof? Would you believe me? Maybe part of you believes me, maybe part of you is skeptical. Maybe all of you believes me, but you just haven't experienced it in your life. Maybe it's some other variation of that for you. I want to share a piece of my own experience just to demonstrate to you, to share with you from a place, a genuine place of care, but also just to share so that you can see and hear and know that if you can relate to anything I'm sharing, you're not alone in that experience and you don't have to stay in it, okay? Because what I'm going to share with you is about a time in my life, one of the times in my life when my lack of investing in my own emotional and mental wellness really resulted in devastating physical and medical health challenges for me. So here we go. Ready? Grab a drink of water so I don't get tongue tied again. I had just had my second child. I was planning my DIY wedding, and my fiance and I had just moved into our first place together. My son, who was the child I had just had, came 6 weeks early, and so he was in the NICU. He had to stay there for a bit. And so as I cared for my older daughter, like clockwork, every 2 hours, I made sure I was pumping so that I could bring the milk to my son, who was in the NICU at the hospital, because I wanted him to get strong and I wanted him to be able to come home soon. And once he came home, this grind continued, caring for my daughter, making sure I was pumping every 2 hours, tending to the house. Then soon after, I went back to work full time. And I do my best to please everyone at work because I didn't want anyone to think I'd be off my game because I just had a baby, heaven forbid, while pumping, taking care of my kids, planning my wedding, DIY, mostly by myself, working full time, and taking care of the house and the finances. As a master's level clinician, I knew what hard work was. I had worked hard to get to where I was, and I enjoyed the work that I was doing. I enjoyed the work that I was providing. I was providing therapy for high-risk teens and their families within the community. But the on-call requirements of this position and the evening and weekend hours that were required, they no longer fit the stage of life that I was moving into, and so it was time for a change. I needed to step out and into something else. So I had worked extra hard to get this additional certification that would allow me to work in the schools, providing counseling and social work in the school setting. And I did that because I thought that I'd be set. If I could work in the schools, I'd be doing work that I enjoy, helping enhance people's lifestyle. Plus, I'd be able to get home at a good time for my kids, have summertime with them. And to me, it seems like a win-win, or so I thought, right? But I had to take a 20K pay cut in order to do this. And I weighed it out, and I decided the benefits of my family time, the more time I'd have with them, it would be worth it, right? And so I figured I'll take on some extra consulting on the side just to make an extra bit of money. And that would help me set my own schedule up because with consulting, I could essentially set up my own schedule and it'd be fine. So I really reasoned myself through this. And although I'd be leaving one job in order to work two, I had communicated this shift and this pay cut and the need that I had to take on two jobs with my new employer. And she said she was on board and she supported me and cool, I've got this, right? That was my thinking. I've got this. I communicated openly. We're on the same page. So I made sure to adhere to the hours that I needed to invest at both jobs. Only my new employer was now expecting me to work after hours, because she couldn't provide me the required supervision that came with that position during the work hours due to her schedule and the another person's schedule. And so she told me I had to work after hours. And after a variety of issues like that, the work environment really became more and more toxic for me, and leadership became more and more of micromanaging for me. Lo and behold, I saw others that were really struggling with this as well. And little by little, I was feeling incredibly stressed while I was at work, more and more anxious. And as I would drive to work, my anxiety would peak. I could feel it. And the micromanaging of the leadership led me to feel just on edge all of the time. And it was something I was not comfortable with. My anxiety grew and I tried to manage it, say that it was fine, it's not a big deal, I can handle it. But the more I just suppressed the frustration and the anxiety and the stress, the more it grew. And things at home they were busy, right? They were hectic. I was a parent. I was working full time. I was working another job. I just switched jobs. I was still planning my DIY wedding. And I told myself, I got this. I can handle it on my own. I have to. I have to. I have to. I have to handle it on my own. I didn't want to burden my bridesmaids with tons of extra things to do. So I limited asking for help. I didn't want to stress my partner out more. So I took on the care of the house and the bills quietly. I didn't want to seem like I couldn't handle things. So I let no one know that I was stressed. I didn't have the time nor the luxury of spending money on self-care. So I just kept pushing forward. I didn't want to be in this kind of work position again. And so I made a plan to make sure I would never be micromanaged again, because I would just keep on building up the leadership ladder. So this would never be a position I'm in again. And so I decided I would go back and get that PhD that I had planned on getting all along anyway. And I applied for my PhD program and I got in. Added more to my plate. Instead of taking things off, the more stressed I got, the more I added on. And so the result was that I'd be driving to work, and as I'd begin thinking about what might happen, my chest would tighten and my eyes would become hyper vigilant. Like everything would become super narrow vision around me, and my heart would beat so fast that I could feel it pounding through my chest, and I started having panic attacks. But I denied that that's what I was experiencing. I denied that this was anxiety. I don't have time for that. I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I've got goals to focus on. Like I got to charge through. I've got this. And so the more I denied that, the more I actually started noticing other things happening. I'd be in the shower washing my hair, and clumps of hair would fall out into my hand. And I began losing hair as I was planning for my wedding. And so I just tried to chalk it up, whatever, like that's just how my hair is. My hair has always been an issue. It's fine, whatever. And so I ignored those red flags. And then it got worse. I began feeling fatigued more and more and more, off, not myself. And so I would walk from one place to another and I'd feel a little bit off kilter, off balance. And my head would feel really groggy, foggy. It would be hard to think straight. And I was tired more often, more irritated, and I had less energy on a daily basis. Even though I would move my body physically, I was walking all the time. So I said, this must be a medical issue. This has to be a medical issue. Like, I'll just go to the doctor and, figure it out so we can get it fixed, right? Let's get stuff fixed. From doctor to specialist, I went, test after test, copay after copay, and they couldn't find anything wrong with me. You see, at this point, I was in intervention and reaction mode, and that costs a lot more than prevention mode. If I would have prevented this level of stress from accumulating on and on and on throughout my life for so many years. And so sometimes some of the doctors did ask, are you stressed? Do you have a lot of stress in your life? Some of them would ask me that. And I'd say no. And every once in a while, I would describe what my responsibilities are. Like, no, I'm not stressed. I have these things going on. And I'd explain to them, what I was doing. In their eyes, you could see it widen. And I'm like, but everything's fine. I keep it together for work and for my kids. I provide everything I need to provide. I'm super responsible. I meet all deadlines. I excel in everything I do. I rise up in leadership in every job that I have. I get all bills paid. I never miss a bill. I keep going, right? Like I can't be stressed. If I'm handling everything and I'm on top of everything, surely I can't be that stressed. Like I'm functioning. So, right? You hear the justification that I was giving myself, even though I was clearly having challenges physically, medically, because I was not tending to my mental and emotional health. And so my anxiety grew. I began to realize that I was really stressed. And my physical issues were exacerbated by the stress levels, and the medical issues were mostly a product of the stress levels, a product of me not taking any time to care for myself, to refuel myself, to actually have some maintenance for this vehicle that I'm living life in, because I was in on mode all the time and I felt like I had to be. I believed I had to be. And so I was like, all right, well, it must be work. It's work that's got to change. So I decided I couldn't stay at that toxic workplace anymore. I left that one and found new employment. And I would love to tell you that everything changed because I changed jobs. But it doesn't work that way. Just because you change jobs, that does not mean that all of the things that you've been practicing, your behaviors, your thoughts, the way you've been navigating through life, that's all going to change too. You take that with you. And so was I more clear on my need for boundaries between work and home? Yes, I was, but that wasn't enough. You see, I was so used to going so fast and managing everything on my own so much of the time that I wasn't entirely sure how to stop, or even if I could. And it turned out that this new place of employment didn't support work-life balance either. And this is a common experience for many healthcare and service-based professionals. It truly is. And after 4 months there, I decided, I'm not going to tolerate staying in a workplace that just does not care for, doesn't support work-life balance for any of their employees, doesn't care about the wellness of their employees. I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. And so it was actually easy for me to make that decision that time, but it still didn't dawn on me that I wasn't going to find the balance that I truly desired, that I really was looking for. I wasn't going to find that outside of myself. I wasn't going to find that by still switching from workplace to workplace. And so even after switching to another place of employment, I ebbed and flowed in and out of burnout for a few years. And no one knew, of course, because I stayed in leadership positions. I stayed on top of things. Outwardly, I looked really put together and confident. I took on more work. I continued to work full time with my kids, taking care of everything and doing my PhD program full time as well. I fought the good fight when it was needed for my clients. It wasn't until I experienced multiple miscarriages that I realized I couldn't go on like this anymore. I just couldn't. It was wreaking not just havoc in my life, in my relationships, but it was wreaking havoc in my body. My physical body, my medical health was being impacted by my mental and emotional health. It wasn't just my employment choices that needed to change. It was me. I needed to change. And that's a big pill to swallow, especially when you pride yourself on doing so much for other people, on being driven, on excelling, on achieving goals. It's a hard pill to swallow when you value your independence and autonomy as an individual, and then you realize that you are the one that needs to do some changing. But what I needed to change was that I needed to start prioritizing myself, my health, and my own needs more if I really wanted to become that better version of myself that I knew I was and could be, that I wanted to be, that I yearned to be, that I felt disconnected from. I had to consciously make the decision to invest my own time, my own efforts, my own energy, and my own resources into my own self-care, which meant I had to believe that I was worthy of that investment. I had to invest in my own development of self from the inside out, my overall wellness, in order to move out of burnout for good. This ebbing and flowing wasn't going to work anymore. And unfortunately, my story is not uncommon. I speak to highly successful professionals all the time who are really secretly struggling with stress and various aspects of their health, their relationships. They're impacted, but they need to keep on going. They think they can't stop. They can't slow down. They can't care for themselves. They can't prioritize themselves. That's a waste of time. That's a luxury. They'll wait until they can go on vacation. And if they ever do on vacation, maybe they'll splurge on vacation, but then the vacation's too short, or they come back more stressed, or they're more stressed leading up to it. That vacation does not change the foundation with which you are living your day-to-day life. They convince themselves that investing in their own wellness is a luxury they have no time for, and it's selfish, or it's a waste of money, and it's not going to pay off, and it's just not true. All of these justifications that I once told myself to, they are not true. So if you can recognize any variation of these justifications coming up for you, that's a sign. You deserve more, and probably, I imagine, you want more. You want different. And you can have it, but it does require a conscious decision to say, I am worthy of this investment in myself. Time, money, resources, effort, energy, I am worthy of that investment because I know it's going to pay off dividends. Investing in your own self-development beyond just the physical or that which can be outwardly seen and measured by others allows you to be a better you. It enhances your quality of life and therefore allows you to give, to lead, to love, to help, and to enjoy more than ever before. This I can promise you. Now, I can't promise exactly what your path is going to look like, but I can tell you that if you're in any vicinity of what I'm describing to you here, you can shift out of, you can shift away from that space. And my guess is you want to, you desire to. So if any of this is connecting for you, what I want you to hear is that when you invest in yourself, when you invest in your self-development, you are choosing to invest in your personal and your professional wellness, okay? Personal and professional development, and it pays off dividends. You do get a return on investment in your body, in your physical self, even in your medical health, the return on investment is just incalculable, honestly. And if you want that, you absolutely can begin to work towards that. I am launching a brand new digital course. It's called The Reset. So if you want to hit the reset button in your life, you want to maximize your time, you want to enhance your quality relationships, you want to be able to enjoy life more and actually be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, not just be in labor all the time, not actual labor, right? But like be working all the time. If that's what you want, you're a busy professional, you're a leader in your own right, reach out, let me know. You can email me hello@drtonicoaches.com, DRTONI coaches.com, and all the information is below. So you can click on any of those links, and I would be honored to be a support to you, okay? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Remember, invest in you. It is an investment in your wellness, which is going to pay off dividends, both personally, professionally, physically, and otherwise. All right? Till next time, y'all. Have a great day.